Hi folks, Rick here. Welcome to my channel. Alright, so today I'm going to show you how to replace a steering stem on a Yamaha Raptor, and this is going to be pretty standard to most ATVs. So, I'm just going to hopefully take mine out. I want to clean it and inspect it and put it back in. Hopefully there's nothing wrong with it. I don't know. I do want to check it here. But maybe you want to, maybe yours is bent. Maybe you want to put in a longer one with an anti-vibe. A lot of reasons to change out your steering stem here. So hopefully you'll find this helpful. It's pretty easy to do. So let's get reset up here and I'll kind of show you some things we got to do to get ready, and then we'll get into it. Okay, so I got my bike down here a little bit. A couple things you're going to want to do on this thing just to make it easier. You want to get your front plastics off, your tank plastics, slide your tank back on this particular model here, just so you can get ease of getting it out of here. So we're going to end up here eventually loosening up our upper steering stem bushing here and taking that off. We're going to need to get our handlebar system off here. I got shock and vibe system. I'm going to take the plate off, move that all away. And then down here, if you've got I've got a steering stabilizer down here. You can't see it. You want to make sure you unhook that. And then what we're going to do here up on the front is we need to get down here to this lower nut. We're going to want to remove this here cotter pin, loosen this here nut. It's not a bad idea to mark this stem here bolt with this collar here, just so you can get it aligned really good when you put it back together. And we slide this in, we're going to want to make sure our front wheels are perfectly straight, our handlebars are perfectly straight, because it's keyed, and that way it all goes back and your handlebars are not off to one direction or another there. So I'm going to go ahead and get set up. I'm going to pull this cotter pin out and see if we can't get this nut loosened, and then we'll go from there. Alright, I got the lower stem nut down off there, as you can see there. It's pretty tight. I think I'll have to look at the manual. I think it's 100 and something foot-pounds. It's a lot. Check your manual when you go to put it back on. I think it's like a 22 millimeter. I didn't have one that fit. 21's a tad small. I think it's a 22. I ended up using a 7/8. That's what I had. That worked fine there. So I got that off. So now I'm going to get up here, and on the top I'm going to go ahead and take off my steering bar mount here, slide that forward. Then I'm going to unloosen our upper stem bushing, and hopefully I can pull this thing right out. So let me get after it. Okay, you can see here I got my handlebars off. I got this bushing here off. Everything goes right. This thing should just slide right out. Let's see, I can just pull it up. Yeah. So, yeah. I'm going to have to take this plastic piece here off here. I left my stabilizer arm on there. I got to fish it out. I can't do it with one hand. So anyway, that's how you get the thing loose. So let's go ahead and pull this thing up. We'll get it cleaned up, get it on the bench, get it inspected, and hopefully no issues with it, and we'll be ready to install. Alright folks, I got my steering stem out. Unfortunately here, see if you can see this, I got just a little bit of bend. So you can see this is a straight edge. You can see there, it's got a pretty big gap. If I turn it here, now you can see there's no gap, but there's one in the middle. So it's definitely got a little bit of cock to it. I am getting a little wear here. This is what happens here, if you don't regularly clean your bearing. And I'm not sure if you can do that or not. It's really not that bad. The first year or so, probably the first year and a half, I didn't change this thing, and the factory just didn't have any grease in the damn thing, and it was bad when I checked it there. So I greased the heck out of it now, and it hasn't gotten any worse. It's been like this forever. So yeah, so that's really that. So it's time to order a new stem. When you get to this spot here, you've got your choice of stuff right here. This is something you really got to think ahead on. So what kind of stem do I want? I can get a stock stem, which is exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to replace a stock one. That was what works good for me. You can get an extended one. If you want to give you a little bit higher handlebars, you can get an anti-vibe. You can also get, so where the thought comes in is you can get like an extended one, an 1.5 inch or 2 inch extended, and then get lower handlebars. So even if you don't want your handlebars higher, you can get lower ones. They ain't got as much of a rise to them. They actually give less flex, so you can get a little bit firmer control. There's a whole bunch of stuff you can do on this thing. You could change out your mounts, fatter bars, all sorts of things. So now's a good time. If you're in this spot right here, is what do I want to do in the future? And you might want to make sure you get a steering stem that matches it. And so right now, I'm happy with everything I got. I'm just going to order me a new stock stem. Hopefully they're in stock. Otherwise, I'm going to be continuing to ride with the bent one. And yeah, that's it. Got to get one on order. All right, well, I got my new steering stem. It's got a factory Yamaha one. Got my stabilizer arm on. Hopefully it's all clocked right. I'll have to check that again. So one thing here, hopefully you can see on this thing, I didn't know here till I was getting ready to put it back on, but on your splines here, there's a flat spot here. So this goes towards the front. And there's a flat spot inside your little pitman arm, steering arm thing down at the bottom there to keep this thing where it's straight there. So this is a good thing. So make sure this is pointing out. It doesn't matter unless you're running an arm, but you have to have your arm clocked the right direction because this is going to go toward the front. When you install this thing here, make sure you put some grease all over this section here. This is where your bearing and your seal go over. You want to put some on your slide there. Your splines here there, so when your arm goes on there, it doesn't get corroded and stuff like that. And then when I get it all the way in there, I'm going to clean this off. I'll put a little bit of anti-seize on there. I like to do that to get it off. So one tip here for you, when you slide this thing in, you get it down there, you get it in your bearing. The only thing that's supporting this whole thing right here is going to be this little section here and your bearing. So don't wiggle this thing. Get it in there, push it straight down, and when you get it in there, stick your upper steering stem bushing over this thing here and clamp it. You don't have to clamp it tight, but just get it in there. That'll keep this thing from rocking and putting all undue stress on this and your bearing. So yeah, so that's it. It's ready to go in. Again, at this point in time, it's a good idea here on your steering stem bushing on the top to check that. Replace the seals, replace a new, you're getting a brand new steering stem if you are checking. It's a good thing here to maybe put a new bearing at the top as well. Check your bearing here at the bottom. I got a video out there on that, how to swap the bearing on the bottom. You got this all the way out. It's not that much harder now to go ahead and put a new bearing on there. The bearings are pretty cheap. But yeah, that's it. So I'm going to go ahead and slide this in, and then we'll get reset up and look at it here. We're just about done. All right, so I got my steering stem on there. I got my upper bushing on there. And again, just here, making sure I was clear. I mentioned there when we sliding this in, there was on the bottom of this thing is a spline with the flat spot that's supposed to be facing forward. Another reason for that is you've got this, you can see that you've got this little hole right here. This is a weep hole. So any water that gets down to this in your stem comes out, and you want it to be facing back. So this faces back in that little flat spot here. Let's see if I can get a picture of it again. Yeah, you can't really see it too good, but this flat spot right here faces forward. So this is forward, that weep hole is back when you put this thing in here. So right now, I'm going to got to clean up this a little bit more because I've got dirt in there. The outside of this is going to go up in that bottom seal in your up in your stem bearing seal. So you want to grease that as well. And then we're going to go ahead and slide this on and put our nut on and get ready to tighten this thing up. Okay, I'm ready here to stick on our little pitman arm, steering arm, whatever this thing's called here. Get kind of set up here. So we've got a couple of things here. Hopefully you can see. Yeah, this little round thing here with the splines in it that goes up on your steering shaft, you want to grease the outside of that thing. That goes up inside of your seal. Again, make sure your steering stem is straight. And we're going to want to, I don't know if you can see this here, it's going to be a little bit difficult, but I get my tires somewhat straight here if I can. Get this arm here straight. Get this one here going. I'm going to slide that out. So you get everything nice and straight here, I think. And just slide that on. I think that does it. Alright, so that is nice and good on there. It's good here. I'm going to just do a quick check to make sure everything looks like it's nice and straight here. It's looking good. Okay, we want to stick our washer here up on, and then we want to stick our nut on this thing here. So you can go up a little bit farther here. Get it getting seated. Alright, here. That up against the thing here. Look at that, I actually got the right socket. And we're going to tighten this thing up. So I'm going to go ahead and tighten this up and then torque it. My manual says 130, which is pretty damn tight. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then we'll go over some last minute tips. Alright, I got the bottom nut there all torqued down and everything. You want to make sure you put a new cotter pin at the bottom there as a safety. But this is really it. You know, one last thing here, you know, is right around the base of your steering stem. Get a piece of rubber if you don't have one, and just kind of make an umbrella and zip tie it around here. All your mud and water comes here, goes right between your plastics and right down your steering stem, right into that bearing. You keep a little bit of a rubber shield over top of that, nice and tight. Keeps all that water and mud out of your thing there, makes it last a lot longer. So this is really all there is to a steering stem. Pretty easy. Again, you know, if you're going to go through the hassle of pulling out, might want to think about checking your bearing down at the bottom there and replacing it. It's not that difficult. It's not that expensive. Then you'll be all brand new. But this is it. I just got to now go ahead and put the handlebars back on, put the plastics back on, and this job will be done. But pretty simple and easy. Again, I just went with the stock one. That's what works good for me. And yeah, that's it. Have a good one.